And no disrespect to Mat Armstrong, I think he's doing amazing things. He's a great guy and all of that. Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
In a surprising turn of events, Bugatti has invited Mat Armstrong to its headquarters, leaving car enthusiasts wondering what could be behind the unusual invitation. Known for rebuilding damaged supercars and turning seemingly impossible projects into stunning machines, Armstrong has already attracted attention for his work on a Bugatti. Now, with the legendary manufacturer apparently wanting him at its headquarters, speculation is growing about what could happen next. Is Bugatti impressed by Armstrong's incredible rebuild, or could something much bigger be waiting for him behind those doors? Let's find out. Mat Armstrong's arrival at Bugatti's headquarters. Mat Armstrong's connection with Bugatti took an unexpected turn during what was supposed to be a memorable European road trip. After getting his Bugatti Veyron back on the road, Mat was not simply interested in driving it home. He also wanted to get closer to the people and place behind one of the most legendary names in the automotive world. So, while traveling through France, Mat decided to make a stop at Bugatti's home in Molsheim. On paper, it seemed like the perfect opportunity. He owned a Veyron, had spent countless hours working on it, and had documented the entire journey for his growing audience. Surely, this would be the moment when he finally got to see the Bugatti world from the inside. But there was one major problem. When Mat arrived, almost nobody was there. The timing could not have been worse. Mat unknowingly arrived on July 14, France's national holiday, when Bugatti's facility was closed. After traveling all that way, he was left outside with no meeting, no staff, and no idea that this failed visit would soon change everything. For a moment, it looked like a wasted trip. He had brought the Veyron, made the journey, and gone out of his way to reach Bugatti, only to discover that the doors were closed. Instead of quietly walking away from the awkward situation, Mat did what his audience has come to expect. He filmed what happened, shared the unexpected experience with viewers, and later explained online why his much-anticipated Bugatti visit had ended so differently. That simple decision may have changed everything. Because while Mat thought the story was over, someone at Bugatti had apparently been paying attention. The company had seen what happened. They knew Mat had tried to visit, and suddenly, the failed trip was no longer just an embarrassing moment from a road trip. Mat documented his surprise visit to Bugatti during his trip to France, but the company was closed because of the holiday. Would Bugatti have welcomed him if there hadn't been a holiday? Or might he have been denied entry into the company? And now that he has missed the opportunity, what could happen next? Let's find out. The unexpected call from Bugatti. While Mat and his team were back in the workshop dealing with another car problem, nobody expected the next surprise to come through his phone. Then it started ringing. The number was French. At first, it did not seem important. The team even joked that it could be a hotel calling about some forgotten bill from their recent trip. But when Mat checked the message that had been left, the mood changed almost instantly. The caller was Alexis from Bugatti's after-sales team, and he had seen the video. Bugatti knew Mat had traveled to Molsheim. They knew he had tried to visit the facility. They also knew exactly why he had arrived, to find the place practically empty. The reason was simple. Mat had unknowingly arrived on July 14th, France's national holiday, when the facility was closed, but Bugatti was not calling to complain about the unexpected visit. They were calling because they wanted to connect with him. Alexis explained that Bugatti would be happy to arrange a proper meeting and find a suitable time for Mat to return. The tone of the message was surprisingly warm, and that was what made the moment even more unexpected. Mat had been the one trying to reach Bugatti. Now, Bugatti was reaching out to him. And this was not just a generic customer service response telling him to send an email or contact a dealership. The company was personally inviting him to come back and meet with them. For Mat, that was a huge moment. After spending so much time rebuilding and documenting his Veyron, he suddenly had direct contact with the people behind the badge. Bugatti had clearly seen what he was doing, followed the story, and recognized that he was not simply another person who happened to own one of their cars. The failed visit had completely changed meaning. What looked like a wasted trip had actually opened a door. And now Mat had a decision to make. If Bugatti was genuinely inviting him inside, how could he possibly say no? Astonishingly, Mat received a call from Bugatti formally inviting him to their headquarters. But what could have prompted Bugatti to invite Mat? Could they have been impressed by the extraordinary work he had been doing? Or was the invitation simply a gesture of appreciation for his attempt to visit? Let's uncover the details. Behind-the-scenes invitation. Mat wasted no time calling Bugatti back, even though he was still trying to understand what had just happened. Only moments earlier, the team had been joking about the mysterious French number. Now they were suddenly speaking directly with someone from Bugatti, and the situation had taken an unexpected turn. During the call, the mystery behind Mat's failed visit finally became clear. He had arrived at Molsheim on France's national holiday when Bugatti's facility was closed. So, the empty site was never about Bugatti ignoring him. Mat had simply chosen the worst possible day to show up. But that was not the part that really caught Mat's attention. Bugatti explained that they had seen his video and were aware of what he had been doing with his Veyron. They knew about his restoration work, his road trip, and his connection to the Bugatti community. More importantly, they wanted to build a relationship with him directly. Then came the surprise. Bugatti invited Mat to visit Molsheim properly. For Mat, this was a completely different situation. He had spent years buying unusual cars, rebuilding them, fixing problems, and turning the entire process into stories for his viewers. Now, one of the world's most exclusive car manufacturers was opening its doors to him. He had even joked about Bugatti's headquarters being like a real-life Willy Wonka factory. Suddenly, that joke was becoming reality. And there was something special about why they wanted him there. Mat's Veyron was no ordinary car. It had already survived major repairs, long European drives, mechanical problems, and countless hours in front of the camera. Now, the company that originally built it wanted to meet the person who had brought the car back to life. For once, Mat was not chasing Bugatti for answers. Bugatti was coming to him. But the biggest question remained. What would Mat discover when he finally stepped inside Bugatti's legendary home? Beyond Mat's invitation, which could be a way of recognizing his exceptional approach to repairing Bugattis against all odds, what happened during his road trip to France? And how was the unexpected issue eventually resolved? Let's dive into the intriguing details. An unexpected door. Bugatti opens. Before Mat could fully enjoy the excitement of Bugatti's invitation, there was still unfinished business waiting at the workshop. His Veyron had survived the demanding European road trip, but another stunning machine had not been nearly as fortunate, leaving the team with a fresh problem to solve. Mat's Lamborghini Murcielago had developed a serious fuel problem during the journey. Fuel was leaking from the car, making it unsafe to keep driving until the team could find exactly where the problem was coming from. So, the Murcielago was lifted onto the ramp, and the investigation began. At first, the team hoped the problem would be something simple, perhaps a damaged hose they could replace quickly. But as they inspected the car more closely, things became increasingly complicated, raising new questions about what had really gone wrong. Eventually, they traced the leak to the fuel pump area and discovered that both fuel pumps were leaking. That meant new parts were needed, along with more work before the Lamborghini could safely return to the road. Interestingly, the problem may have also explained why the Murcielago seemed unusually slow during parts of the trip. If the fuel system had not been working properly, the engine might not have received everything it needed to perform as it should. This was exactly the kind of situation Mat and his team had become known for. A car can look perfect from the outside, but once it goes onto a workshop ramp, an entirely different story can appear underneath. The replacement pumps were ordered, the damaged components were removed, and the team began putting everything back together. Then came the moment of truth. They added fuel, switched the system on, and checked carefully for another leak. This time, everything stayed dry. The engine fired up, and the Murcielago was finally ready to return to the road. Mat's rebuilt Bugatti made it through the European road trip, while the problem with the other car was eventually sorted out. But what did Bugatti's unexpected invitation really mean for Mat? Could this be his chance to finally see what goes on behind the scenes at one of the world's most famous car brands? Let's find out. From an owner into an unexpected insider. The invitation from Bugatti meant much more than just the chance to walk around a famous factory. For Mat, it marked a completely different chapter in his relationship with the legendary brand. Until then, Mat had experienced Bugatti from the owner's side. He was the person trying to understand the Veyron, repair its problems, drive it across Europe, and share every unexpected moment with his audience. But now, something had changed. Bugatti itself had taken notice. During the call, the company's after-sales representative made it clear that they knew about Mat's work and understood that he was part of the wider Bugatti community. They wanted to meet him, talk about what he had been doing with the Veyron, and allow him to see the Molsheim site properly. For Mat, that was a huge moment. He had already wanted to visit the factory, but his first attempt had ended with an empty building because of the French national holiday. What could have been an embarrassing dead end suddenly turned into an unexpected opportunity. Instead of ignoring what happened, Bugatti had seen the video, understood why Mat had arrived to find nobody there, and decided to reach out themselves. Mat was clearly surprised by that. He kept coming back to the fact that Bugatti had actually called him directly. After everything that had happened during the road trip, the invitation felt like a completely different kind of response. There were plenty of jokes along the way, especially when the team compared Bugatti's reaction with some of their less enjoyable encounters during the journey. But underneath the laughter was genuine excitement. Mat was finally getting the chance to see what existed behind the famous Bugatti badge. And this time, he would not be waiting outside an empty entrance. Bugatti wanted him there. The visit was being planned for September. Beyond Bugatti's invitation to Mat, which could mean a lot for both sides, what was the relationship between them before this happened? And could this unexpected invitation finally put an end to any disagreements or tension they may have had in the past? Let's uncover the fascinating details. Mat Armstrong's Chiron problem. But there was another reason Mat Armstrong's growing connection with Bugatti had become so interesting. Long before the invitation to Molsheim, Mat had already taken on one of the toughest Bugatti projects featured on his channel. Rebuilding a badly damaged Chiron Per Sport bought through a salvage auction. This was far from an ordinary repair job. The hypercar had suffered serious damage, and Mat wanted to bring it back to life. But there was a major obstacle. Reports surrounding the project said the car's VIN had been locked, making it difficult to obtain official replacement parts through dealerships. Suddenly, Mat was dealing with more than broken components. He was trying to rebuild an incredibly complicated hypercar while facing limited access to the parts and support normally available to Bugatti owners. As the project continued, his audience followed every setback. The situation became so difficult that Mat publicly called on Bugatti for assistance, particularly after discovering serious damage around the transmission mounts. Then the conversation grew even bigger. Mat Rimac, the CEO associated with Bugatti, publicly discussed the high costs involved in repairing and maintaining these extraordinary cars. He acknowledged that Bugatti repairs could be expensive while challenging some claims and prices being discussed online. He also explained why certain complex components could not simply be reproduced using methods such as 3D printing. Despite the obstacles, Mat kept going. Months later, he was finally able to test drive the Chiron, although the project was still not finished. That history makes Bugatti's later invitation especially fascinating. Mat was no longer simply an enthusiast trying to get closer to the brand. He was a Bugatti owner rebuilding one of its most complicated machines in public, with millions watching. And now, Bugatti wanted him at Molsheim. They had seen his work. Now they wanted Mat to see theirs. At the beginning of Mat's attempt to rebuild Bugatti's hypercars, There appeared to be some disagreement between him and the company. But what can we expect from his visit to Bugatti's headquarters this time? And how will he be welcomed after his first attempt ended with an unexpected disappointment? Let's find out. Mat Armstrong's next Bugatti trip. By this point, the story had grown far beyond a simple European road trip. Mat had started with a Veyron that needed serious attention, taken it across Europe, dealt with unexpected problems, and eventually brought it safely back home. But somewhere along the way, something happened that nobody had planned for. His failed attempt to visit Bugatti ended up getting Bugatti's attention. And now, the next trip to Molsheim would be completely different. This time, Mat would not be showing up unexpectedly and hoping someone was there. He would be returning as a guest. That small change could make a huge difference. Bugatti has always represented something special in the car world. Its vehicles are associated with extreme performance, rare engineering, luxury, and exclusivity. Millions of people know the Bugatti name, but very few ever get the chance to see what happens behind the scenes. Now, Mat's audience could potentially see that world through someone who had experienced the brand from a completely different angle. He was not simply a fan walking into a showroom. He was a Bugatti owner who had actually driven his Veyron across Europe, dealt with its problems, worked on the car, and shared the entire journey with his audience. That made the invitation even more interesting. Mat would not just be looking at a famous hypercar sitting behind a barrier. He would be stepping into the world connected to the machine sitting in his own workshop. And Bugatti could easily have ignored his failed visit. Instead, the company watched what happened, understood the situation, contacted Mat directly, and invited him back. That completely changed the story. The first visit ended with an empty building and plenty of questions. The next one could be very different, because this time, Mat would not be arriving wondering whether anyone was there. Bugatti knew he was coming, and someone would be waiting for him. There are many possibilities for what could happen if Mat finally accepts Bugatti's invitation. But could this visit lead to a stronger relationship between Mat and Bugatti? Could the company eventually become involved in his Veyron project? Or could Mat's unusual approach to rebuilding and documenting high-performance cars open the door to something neither side ever expected? Let's find out. The uncertain plus chapter. What began as a disappointing visit to Bugatti could now become a turning point in Mat Armstrong's journey, opening an unexpected door to the legendary brand. Mat had traveled through Europe with his Veyron, dealt with the usual challenges that come with driving and maintaining an older hypercar, and eventually made his way toward Bugatti's home in Molsheim, France. He expected the visit to be a memorable part of the journey. Instead, he arrived to find the facility closed because of the national holiday. At first, it seemed like the perfect opportunity had simply slipped away. But Mat did not know that the failed visit would actually put him on Bugatti's radar. The company saw the video. They understood why he had arrived and why nobody was there to receive him. Then, instead of leaving the situation alone, Bugatti reached out directly and invited Mat to return. That completely changed the story. This time, Mat was not chasing Bugatti for a chance to get inside. Instead, the company had noticed his journey and was personally inviting him through their doors. And that makes the planned visit to Molsheim far more interesting than an ordinary factory tour. For Mat, it could mean finally getting a closer look at the people, technology, and history behind the Veyron sitting in his own collection. He could have the opportunity to speak with Bugatti representatives, learn more about the brand, and see parts of its world that most enthusiasts never experience. But the biggest question is what happens after that. There is no guarantee of what will happen when he finally arrives. But the situation itself is already remarkable. Mat went to Bugatti hoping to finally get the company's attention, but the story took an unexpected turn when Bugatti reached out to him instead, inviting him closer. The man who once arrived at Bugatti's closed facility with no one there to welcome him is now being invited back, this time as an official guest. And this time, the biggest question is no longer whether Mat will get inside. It is what Bugatti wants him to see once he does. So what do you think about Bugatti inviting Mat? Could this meeting lead to something much bigger? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.